we are in a Mad Max sequel. And then the rest of us are like, every day is NASCAR. It is incredible. It's really an exercise in mass delusion based on confirmation bias, that there's so many people. We're all looking at the exact same thing, but there are two camps that are seeing two different things. And I do believe that the people that are so entrenched in their negativity, they're led largely by emotion, and they can't let go. I think a lot of the confirmation bias is fueled by an emotional reaction to Donald Trump. So I always say, my notes here, the key is to separate the psychological effects of Trump from the practical results of his actions. That's how you're going to end up judging this guy. His in-your-face personality is always going to salt the wounds of people who don't like him. Like tonight, we'll salt the wounds of some people, but we'll indulge the pleasures of another. But the fact is, if you set what we did in the opening here, was we listed the practical results of his actions. And we're divorced from the psychological effects of his personality. And when you do that, you have to admit, this is a phenomenon. This is a consequential leader.
All right. So, Dana, what do you think about, what should the president focus on today? But, obviously there's some accomplishments to highlight and focus on for the people.
Well, look, the first year of any presidency is usually the most consequential because you have all the juice from the election. It's behind you. I think that what you're talking about, the two viewpoints, that was true during the Obama years.
True,
as well.
I agree, yeah.
And so this is not just that phenomenon.
Yeah.
And if this were a different network, at the end of Obama's first year, they could have had the exact same list, because it's just how you spin it. Another network tonight might say, here's all the things that Trump has failed to do, or that have all the basically the headwinds that are hard for him. But I do think that if he wants to look at things that he could tick off the box, these things are all happening, it's really good. And I think, the Obama team might say, well, look, today was 86 consecutive months of job growth. Okay, well, obviously he's only been in office for 11 months. So these things compound each other on themselves, and economies cycle. But there is no doubt that the consumer confidence really shot up. The deregulation effort is certainly really consequential. The other thing we didn't talk about here is something that is really having an impact, and that is the pulling back of all of those executive orders that President Obama put in place because they weren't solid. So because they weren't solid, he's able to walk them back. That also has helped fuel good economic things. There is a campaign promise that he made that he has not kept, that I think that I understand why politically he did not, and that is on the top tax rate for this tax reform bill. He campaigned on a 33% top tax rate, and that was actually all the Republicans ran on that together. I understand the concern that it would look like maybe he was giving the rich too much of a pass, including himself. So that's why, it creeped up. And then that's why you have the individuals paying more in some cases, and then the corporations getting this rate. And the math is really hard to do. I think politically, it doesn't matter. They're always going to say that he's doing everything just for the rich. So in order for good economic growth policy, he should just be able to work with the Congress when they go to conference next week and actually fulfill that campaign promise, because it will fuel the economy more, like goose it a little bit.
Ooh, goose
Watch your mouth, young lady. I don't know. We're
I
going to have to
say it.
If you said it, it would be on the blogs.
Jesse was a ventriloquist, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, but so Jesse, you would probably agree with that point, actually.
Yeah, I mean, we need top tax relief badly. He campaigned on it. He said it was going to be Reagan-esque. It's more Mondale-esque. And like you said, he's going to get criticized for it anyway.
It doesn't matter.
Why not do it? I think the reason they did it because it has to be a $1.5 trillion deficit neutral deal, and then you need 60 votes in the Senate. I know I'm boring everybody with that, but
Not really.
it could have been a lot more aggressive.
I feel bad for Juan.
Juan, you may have the floor now. Just, just crush it.
Well, it's not hard to crush it. I mean, it's like what Greg said. Who pasted this from the White House, the communications office? I mean, we report, you decide. What are the American people saying about Trump? His approval rating down around 32%.
But approval rating is...
okay. No, let me finish.
No, I'm
okay,
not.
no.
I can't.
32%.
It doesn't matter with this guy.
Oh, no. And let me just tell you something.
It doesn't matter. They don't have to like him.
Let me just tell you something.
They don't have to like him.
If this was Obama, you guys would be jumping on the table.
You don't have to like your boss. You don't have to like your president.
Let me just tell you something. What about the tax plan that you guys are bragging about? Oh, gee whiz, Gallup, 29% approval. Most Americans think this is a terrible deal, a giveaway. You say, oh, well, he's going to get criticized anyway.
It is a giveaway.
Because
We're
he would
getting
give it
our
to the
money
rich.
back.
No,
the government's giving our money back to us.
The big corporations and the rich are getting their money back, but the working
That's
man
because
and
the
woman.
rich pay more taxes.
And this is what goes to Dana's point. Dana said, well, they're just going to say anyway that, you know, you just give away to the rich. But actually, the promise was that the middle class or working class American would benefit from this tax plan, and that's just not happening.
I think the numbers are pretty good on that.
I don't think so. And I think even today, when we look at the job growth, you know, everybody's, oh, this is great, this is great. Wait a second. Do you realize the job growth this year is slower than it was last year? Oh, my goodness.
That's because I didn't count
year.
January
I
and
see. Oh, here
December.
This is
because
so
if you count it from Trump's election, it's actually better.
You know what?
Way to go, Jesse.
I'll give you a calendar.
Right?
Yeah, really. But I think you have to understand, it's not the Grinch that's stealing your coal here. It's reality. Let some reality.
He's giving us coal back.
Let some reality into your echo chamber. The echo chamber is getting a little thick here, I think. Even in terms of wages, which is something he said, oh, I'm going to improve wages.
I agree with that.
Guess what?
Wage
Wages
growth
aren't
could
there.
be higher, but once the tax cuts go through, that'll jump.
What about this, Jesse?
What?
Workforce participation. Remember we say, oh, Obama has low unemployment, but, you know, a lot of people aren't participating in the workforce because they're discouraged. Workforce, lack of participation, actually up
But
under
part of
Trump.
that, can I address that though a little bit, because that is something that the Congress, the Republican leaders, and the president have said they want to tackle next year. And part of workforce participation is the amount of people who are on benefits that are actually able-bodied, but they would lose money if they ended up going to work. And that's why the wage pressure issue could get better, because if you don't have enough workers, you're going to have to pay people more, and then they're going to try to get people back to work that way.
Well, here's the thing. A lot of these people are getting older. They're retirees. And guess what? If you said that, when I said that a year or two ago, everybody said, oh, that's ridiculous.
True.
That's ridiculous. But here's the bottom line that I would say to you guys. Forget the Democrats. Just look at the Republicans. Guess what? Republicans have a lower opinion of Trump today than they did in February.
Juan, all you're doing is citing polls.
Oh, that's terrible.
How well did that work during the election?
It didn't
Oh,
work
my
at all.
gosh.
It wasn't a good litmus test. It wasn't a
Oh,
positive
yeah.
indicator.
Well,
But
he's
Jesse-
not only person he's running against is
But your
himself.
first year is almost always your most consequential. And then you will continue to try to drive forward. It gets harder in an election year to try to actually get bigger things done. That's why you
does.
try to get them done as much as you can. And that's why they try to get the tax reform done, and the sequencing being try to do infrastructure and welfare next year. I'm sorry, and border security.
You know what also is helping him is the media creating a monster by combining various visuals and stereotypes and fear. They've kind of turned Trump into something else, like an orange phantom. He is almost like a supervillain. And that's actually added to his appeal, I think. I mean, I think if the media had not exaggerated the physical and comic proportions and his mannerisms to such a degree, I think he would be having a harder time.
Well, until this week, was anyone making fun of his mannerisms?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, in the past,
geez,
whatever.
isn't that SNL's entire
Right, but the
90
bottom line
minutes?
is the numbers and
You
the
mean with the
results speak
hands?
for themselves, do
Right.
they not, Jesse? For me, as a former prosecutor, I love the fact we've got a 25% decrease in illegals crossing the border, 40% surge in the number of deportations in 2017. This, to me, has a direct, pivotal impact on crime across the country, and especially in areas that are really challenged, like California and border states. To me, this is very good news, and he's improving on it, and only if we can build the
Wall.
Correct. New harassment on the Hill. Developments when the five returns. Stay with us.
Sexual harassment allegations. John Conyers, Al Franken, and the latest, Republican Congressman Trent Franks of Arizona. The House Ethics Committee is investigating Franks' discussion of surrogacy with two former female staffers. The congressman reportedly asked them if they would serve as surrogate mothers for his child. He was supposed to step down at the end of January, but that exit moved to today. Now, the storm over Washington doesn't appear likely to clear anytime soon. A former deputy bureau chief for the Wall Street Journal says he's hearing the total number of congressmen with sexual harassment skeletons in their closets is over 40.
Not good.
Wow. So, Jesse, this story with Trent Franks is kind of interesting because AP is reporting he was offering $5 million to the women on his staff to have the child. Politico is saying it wasn't just a matter of having the child, but possibly involving having sex so that they would become pregnant.
Yeah, with all the sex harassment resignations, the swamp is draining itself. And I admired Frank's. I met him when I was a young person here at Fox News, and he was very nice to me. I always looked up to him. And then I hear something like this, and it's hard to say what really happened because I'm compassionate to someone that's struggling with infertility. And I don't know whether he was joking when he said, hey, would you be my surrogate? Or if he's serious, that's crazy and offensive and obviously creates a hostile work environment. So I don't really know what happened. No one knows except for him and the women he proposed this to. $5 million seems like a lot of money. I don't know where he got the money, and I don't think that's the price of surrogacy. I think that's probably over 100% over what the price of being a surrogate is. So something else seems to be going on, and it's just sad. The whole thing is sad.
What do you think?
Again, I echo part of Jesse's comments, which, that people struggling from infertility, things of that nature. But so you would have to really get more into the context of, what transpired. There are a lot of people that try to offer these types of services too, but it's not proper for the workplace. I'm not sure exactly what transpired, but, it's just a sad case. But when you look in terms of the overall numbers in the aggregate, I mean, it's just the volume of it is just really quite shocking, and these are people that you want to look up to that are serving.
Oh, you mean the volume
the
of people leaving?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's it's disheartening because these are people that you would hope they take an oath, they're trying to serve the country, do something for the common good. They make sacrifices as public servants. They take a far lower salary than they would if they were in the private sector, and then you find out these situations, what's going on. Obviously, to the extent that it sheds a light on it, it's illuminating. It encourages people to speak up if it's happened to them, but also discourages others, perhaps makes them think twice before they engage in this kind of improper and inappropriate conduct. So I'm just hoping for something positive, to come out of all this.
Well, in fact,
and I feel for the
it's
families
damaging.
and for his
I was
wife,
going to say, because the wife apparently has been in the hospital. So Dana, let's shift to another story, which is Blake Farenthold, a congressman from Texas. Apparently, he paid $84,000 taxpayer money to help settle a charge from his former communications director that he was sexually harassing her.
So Congresswoman Mia Love and Barbara Comstock, and then today on the Daily Briefing show at 2 o'clock, Kathy McMorris Rogers, though she said she would like to see what the investigation shows, they all think that he should resign if these are allegations are true, and they say that he should definitely pay back the money, out of his own pocket. Like that taxpayer dollars is not an appropriate way to deal with that. So the other thing that's interesting about just either whether it be Farenthold or Franks or whoever, Paul Ryan's office was contacted by somebody 2 weeks ago about Franks. The general counsel was contacted. They then called the woman or maybe there were more than one, and he's the one who told Franks, you need to resign, and then he brought it up forward. We're not going to wait weeks for this. Let's get this done now.
Now, but Conyers left. Again, the principal charge against Conyers was he used office money, taxpayer dollars, to pay off, and the same thing applies to Farenthold, but he's still there.
Right. That's why these Republican congresswomen are saying that's probably not right.
Hey, Greg.
Yes, sir.
MSNBC, Harold Ford, who was a congressman himself, but then went to work for Morgan Stanley. He's now out at MSNBC.
Well, first, I am a little disappointed on the 5 for our lower thirds not using the phrase surrogate.
you mean like Watergate?
That was witty.
Very good. There you go.
Anyway, you bring up Ford, you talk about Franks, and you talk about this real looker, Farenthold. I mean, boy. Each case.
Are they doing this alphabetically?
Yeah, no. Each case is like a dirty snowflake. It's unique and unsavory. And we have to remind ourselves that every one of these things cannot fit into a file. They're all different and weird. One involves saying weird, crass, goofy stuff. Other stuff is creepy. Other stuff is touching. Other stuff is assault. But we are. I keep saying this. The danger of leveling all of these accusations is one thing. You're not only to get rid of the fiends, you're going to punish people that don't deserve to be punished. I feel sorry for some of these people because I keep thinking is that as bad as that?
Right.
And we cannot forget where this all started.
You want to separate the trash, like the recyclables over here.
Exactly.
Versus your nasty Chinese food.
Good metaphor. Good metaphor.
Terrific.
Get the plastics, the
Thank
paper.
you.
But you know what?
Wow.
We have to remind ourselves. This all started in one place, and we're going to talk about Hollywood in the next block. But it started in Hollywood.
Deep tease.
It was propagated and enabled by a group of people who've been lecturing us for years about our behavior.
And still
so
do.
I'm not going to listen to any actors, directors, or producers who provided sanctuary to serial rapists
Yep.
and predatory sex pests
Yep.
anymore.
Well, what about Trump? Should he have to go?
Go where?
No.
Go
Nope.
where?
Okay.
Go where? I
right.
think the public decided on that one.
Oh, okay. More
Court of pub-
anti-Trump
we're okay
rage.
with the court of public opinion on a lot of this stuff, apparently.
I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, Minnesota voters didn't get a choice.
Yeah, I don't
Neither
think
did
so.
Michigan voters.
All right.
They may.
I have to go, gentlemen. And
I'm not ready yet.
I'm sorry, Gregory. More anti-Trump.
wrote a poem.
You will have a poem.
Yes.
Okay. More anti-Trump. Do it in the next block. From liberal Hollywood, what Jennifer Lawrence and Chelsea Handler are teed off about now?
Lines over the Trump presidency. Jennifer Lawrence, the latest case study. In a new interview, Oprah asked the actress if she'd ever like to meet the president. Her answer, I think so. I've got a pretty good speech, and it ends with a martini to the face. Wow, classy. The president is now apparently responsible for natural disasters in America. That's according to his biggest fan, Chelsea Handler. She's now blaming him for the wildfires out in California, tweeting, just evacuated my house. It's like Donald Trump is setting the world on fire, literally and figuratively. Stay safe, everybody. Dark times. Gutfeld, weren't there wildfires burning things down during the Obama administration?
Yeah, but that was also Trump's fault.
Okay, I forgot about
Because
that.
remember, The Apprentice was on, and that was
That's
upsetting
true.
a lot of people. They're obviously suffering. They're still suffering. They're broken. These are broken people. They were broken by the election. And because they haven't left their bubble, they have bubble-itis. They haven't left their sealed compartments. So they're still suffering. They need to go out and actually talk to people. I give Sarah Silverman credit. She actually went out and talked to somebody, but she's still, half her mind is still lost. But here in the five, they should look at the five. We don't have the luxury that they do. Every day we're outside of a bubble, bickering and yelling at each other because we have different points of view. People always bang on about Fox News. Look at Hollywood. Hollywood is
Lockstep.
a full lockstep. And I also do think to go back to our earlier segment, they're in crisis over their own guilt.
Yeah.
They are complicit, and I think they're transferring their shame over Weinstein and Toback onto Trump because now they're pointing at him with all of his flaws because they knew what was going on for decades.
And did nothing.
You know what,
Something.
I
That's a good
don't
point.
like? I don't like when someone like Jennifer Lawrence will say she wants to throw a drink in the president of the United States' face, and everyone thinks it's funny and it's cute. If someone had said that about Barack Obama,
Forget
they
it.
would have sent the Secret Service actor, the actress.
Yeah, I thought you were going to look at Juan for some help
oh,
there. But yeah, it's total double standard, and I don't like the disrespect at all, to be
No.
honest with you. I don't think it's conduct unbecoming. It's not polite. It's not courteous, certainly. I don't understand why. It's like they have emotional issues, and there's a lot of just transference, and they're trying to put everything on the president, that it doesn't matter what's happening in their life or day to day. They want to find a way to tie it in and flip the script and put it on the president instead.
And you saw this derangement syndrome when you were in the Bush administration. Do you
yeah,
think
they
it's
hated
even
him.
worse? Do you think it's not as bad? How would you describe the differences?
I think part of it is worse is because people like Chelsea Handler have Twitter, right?
Yeah.
We didn't really have social media.
You're right.
And I think it ruins so many people.
Platform.
The other thing is, it's big controversy this week is Taylor Swift, who says she does not want to talk about politics, and everybody in
Shaming her.
Hollywood are trying to push her into it. Like, how could you not talk about politics?
It's a smart
And she doesn't
business decision.
That's why she's
it's
winning.
Super smart, and she's dignified and classy, and
Yeah.
she's knows what her business is, and why get involved in politics?
One, your side likes to claim they have a monopoly on, they're polite society, they're very dignified, very classy, yet they act so rude.
Well,
you see the
I
difference?
I don't know that I'm responsible for these actors and actresses.
I'm holding you responsible.
But I'm glad
Juan.
to be, because when I'm looking at Jennifer Lawrence, who is just a terrific actress.
She's great.
I'm just thinking to myself, you guys think that she's just being rude, but you don't say, well, gee, who's the bullying, rude person who talks about grabbing someone like an actress, a beautiful actress, by the crotch? Who could have said such a thing?
Well, I mean, if someone tries to grab someone by the crotch, yes, they have all the right to throw a drink in their
Well, so
face.
you can imagine
But I don't
why-
think Trump tried to do that with Jennifer Lawrence.
No, but you can imagine, therefore, why a woman who thinks I'm standing up for women says, I don't like that behavior.
Yeah, I
don't
gotta
see
agree
it.
with Juan. I mean, the fact is, we have changed. We've lowered the bar on discourse, so everything's game. I don't care. She should be able to say whatever she wants.
can,
Who
yeah,
cares?
I don't care.
And it doesn't bother me the least.
And Taylor Swift should be allowed to say nothing.
Exactly. That's the thing.
the
So it's
point.
like this is just something where it's more about the trouble that's going on in their heads than what's coming out of their mouths. I find that more interesting.
Said that.
But we can still judge them for it.
Yes, we can, because we are Fox.
We sit in
There
judgment.
could soon be an ends of the office Christmas party. And we can blame millennials for that. Right back.
Country Christmas music as
Shoot
my
me.
lead-in, because we're going to talk about Christmas parties. The Weekly Standard details a new holiday party policy for what a company could get together could soon look like if the millennials get a hold of the playbook. The article spotlights Vox Media and how they approach the holiday party since the boom of sexual harassment accusations across the country. The biggest change is receiving only 2 drink tickets for attendees, non-alcoholic drinks to follow. But is this over the top? Do we now need chaperones and drink restrictions so we don't have future incidents? Greg, in the policy code of conduct for Vox Media, it says, be polite and friendly in all forms of communication, especially remote communication where opportunities for misunderstanding are greater. Use sarcasm carefully.
Oh, my goodness.
Tone is hard to decipher online. Make judicious use of emoji to aid in communication. I thought you would love that.
Yes, well, emojis do make things much easier. Look, office parties are overrated. It's a forced kind of fun. If you're the guy or the girl who really looks forward to an office party, that means you need to improve your social networks and find people outside of work.
And skip them like you do?
You'd skip them like I do. Because the point is, office parties are to get drunk at because it's free booze.
Right.
You go to something where there's free booze to get drunk at. Now, because of the consequences and legitimate consequences of what's been going on,